In this recording, I'm going to be going over a new enhancement made to the connector 10.5 for more flexibility on managing quantity for bills of material. There are some new options to handle the quantity in a resource setting titled BOM Quantity Driven By. Some of those options are CAD. So this is the out-of-the-box standard behavior for the CAD connector, managing the quantity by instance count. The next option will be PLM. This is strictly ARIS controlling the quantity, and the connector will not update that quantity. Another option is PLM except each. So this is similar to the PLM option, but the connector will only handle items that are marked as each. There's another option for an ARIS server method, so the connector will decide whether to use the CAD quantity or PLM based on that method. So I'm going to be going over a scenario, the different scenarios for the quantity options. In this first scenario, you can see my resource name BOM quantity driven by and my resource value PLM except each. For this first scenario, I'm going to be using this assembly that I have already registered and stored. And you can see in the bill of material, I have my unit of measure set to each for some components that I want the connector to manage, and then inches for this component for the wires in this motor. So I have PLM managing this one, and you can see the quantity is different. It's 14. And if I go into the CAD tool and I look at this assembly, I go to the model tree, I can see that I have one instance count of this component, the wires in the motor. I want PLM to control this by saying there's 14 inches of the wire in this motor instead of the instance count of 1. And you can see that if I go to store the bill of material, that the connector will not update that quantity. So I can leave that to PLM to control and manage. If I hit store, go back to PLM, and refresh, I can see it remains unchanged. So now I'm going to be going over another option for the storing of quantity. Now if I look at my resource name, BOM quantity driven by, I can see that I have my resource value now set to PLM. So PLM is the master for driving the quantity. If I look at that same bill of material, I can see I still have things set to inches and then each. But in this case, PLM is driving everything. So even though that these are marked as each, the connector won't touch these. So if I go to edit, I can change these items that are in each. We'll say there are now 4 bearings in this assembly, and I want to drive that from ARIS. I hit done. If I go back to my connector here, there's only 2 of those bearings in this assembly. The instance count is 2. So if I go to store BOM, you can see the connector is not touching that quantity. This is being driven from PLM. So if I go to store was successful. Back to ARIS, and I can refresh and see that this remains unchanged because PLM is the master. In this scenario, you can see that the BOM quantity driven by the resource value is CAD. So again, this is typical out-of-the-box behavior. So you can see I've changed some of these quantities from the previous values. Now if I go back to CAD, refresh my settings for that new resource setting, and then go to store, bill of material, CAD is going to be driving that quantity count. So those are going to be changed. And I can go look at here, and I can see if I refresh that that's updated. So those are some of the different options and different ways that I can manage the quantity for my bill of material. If you'd be interested in seeing some more on the 10.5 enhancement, you can see the documentation located at the directory on the screen. Thank you for watching.